AOC started crying on the floor of the House of Representatives yesterday after a vote. It was a vote to restore funding to the Iron Dome program in Israel. Now, you do need to know, if we're truthful and honest and we're sincere with the facts, the fact honestly is that Israel has not accepted our funding for the Iron Dome. It's been left in an account. And at some point, perhaps they will embrace our funding. But at the moment, they not only have not embraced our funding, they don't seem to want it. So there was a question as to whether or not we were going to keep giving them the money if they don't want the money, but there was a decision to give them the money. And progressives had said no way, that they did not want to give the money. They were opposed to giving the money. They blocked it in the continuing resolution. And so on a bipartisan basis, on a separate piece of legislation, the Republicans and Democrats restored the funding. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had been one of the most vocal Democrats against restoring the funding. So when the vote came to the floor yesterday, you would have expected her to vote no, along with Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and the like. Instead, she voted present and then burst into tears. My buddy Brian Kilmeade on Fox News wanted to know if they were authentic tears. I think they were. I think she was sincerely crying. I have some theories. They're only theories, but follow along with me. On the one hand, could it be that she was bullied by leadership? It is not a secret in the House of Representatives that Nancy Pelosi does not like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Nancy Pelosi does not like her. You may think she does because they're both progressives, but Nancy Pelosi has been very, very hostile to AOC because she thinks AOC is a grandstander who doesn't get things accomplished. She was asked a while back about her relationship with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she said she wasn't going to talk about it. It's fine. And then she offhandedly said, I have a lot of respect for the people who come to Congress and realize you're making a recipe or some such. I think she used a recipe analogy. You're making a dish and you got to put all the ingredients in the dish to get the finished product. I don't have patience for the people who want the finished product and don't put the time in to actually cook the finished product. And it was taken, I forget the exact analogy, but it was taken, of course, as the interpretation that she was slamming AOC, and I think that was legitimate. Democrats behind the scenes say Pelosi does not like AOC. She likes Ilhan Omar and has kind of taken her under her wing, but she doesn't like AOC. So part of me wonders, was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez threatened by leadership? She wants the infrastructure deal. She wants the Green New Deal in the infrastructure deal. She has several wants she is insisting on. What if House leaders told AOC that if you vote no on this funding, we're going to deprive you of some of the things you want? What if the House leaders went to her and said, if you oppose funding the Iron Dome, we're not going to make you vote yes, but if you vote no, you're not going to get parts of the Green New Deal you want. We're going to strip it out. That's entirely plausible. It's entirely plausible. But Jim Garrity at National Review raises another scenario that is also entirely plausible. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a true believer. She has not had to make the compromises many politicians make to get ahead. In fact, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has condemned and railed against the politicians who have made those compromises that were necessary for them to stay in elected office. She has. She's excoriated Democrats for compromising. She doesn't think you should have to compromise, that you should be able to get what you want through sheer force of will. And that if you're a politician who compromises, who sells out, who does these things to stay in office, you're a fraud. And she's no fraud. Until now, perhaps? Some Democrats think she may want to challenge Chuck Schumer if he doesn't give her what she wants out of the Senate. She may want to run against him. You can't run in New York statewide against Chuck Schumer and be opposed to funding the Iron Dome. So she voted present and realized she has become the politician she hates. She has become the very thing she ran against, the compromised politician who avoids the tough, principled stand to win the next election. And she cried about it. You voted present and you're going to cry because you weaseled your way out of it? Cry that you took a tough stand and they're going to punish you. Cry that you took a tough stand and they're going to come after you. Cry that you took a tough stand and now you can't run against Chuck Schumer. Don't cry that you weaseled out. You weaseled out. There's no crying and weaseling out. And that's what you did, AOC. You weaseled out and you cried, I voted present. I couldn't vote for the terrorists and I couldn't vote against the Jews. I had to vote present. I really wanted to vote against the Jews. I really wanted to help the terrorists kill the Jews and I couldn't do it. I had to vote present. I mean, that's what the vote was. They wanted to support Israel building the Iron Dome to keep the terrorists from killing Israeli citizens. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, the squad, they believe the terrorists should have the right to kill the Jews. They're deeply anti-Semitic. And AOC didn't want to stand up for what she believes in. She cowered and voted present and then cried about it. There's no crying in capitulation. And the fact that she cried for capitulating tells you everything you need to know about her. She has become exactly what she said she hated, and she always has been. It's just taken a while for people to realize it. That's pathetic.